What if I told you I could stop 50% of all the accidents in the amusement ride industry? In 2002, I built a zip line at a resort, and we've done that. 50% of the accidents that occur at a zip line were eliminated because they are braking related. And we installed 3 brakes, and our emergency brake was an array of compression springs. Simple, self-resetting. I'm Troy Richardson. I'm a zipline expert. I work in both the aerial adventure park industry and trampoline courts. You never forget the first autopsy you read, especially if it's a youth or a 55-year-old pharmacist from South Carolina. Let me tell you Lisa's story. Lisa brought her family, her brother, her mother, and all their children, her husband, out to a resort in Utah. They wanted to begin by ziplining this 1-year-old zipline. They'd heard a lot about it, but this was May 20th, 2016. And in May, in the mountains in Utah, the winds change dramatically. And in some stages, they can gust like right up to 90 miles an hour. And so if you're in the mountains and you're running a resort, you're going to be paying attention to weather conditions. And so as Lisa's family begins this zip tour, she works her way down, and she's the first one to go down this 2-line course. And there's about 5 zip lines to the bottom. 2.5 miles long, quite a long zip line, very steep, very fast. On the way down, the winds started kicking up. Gusts were over 35 miles an hour. The staff had been trained that a 30-mile-an-hour sustained wind meant you were going home and shutting down the zip line. But they continued. Gusts were over 60 miles an hour when I researched this accident. As Lisa and her husband made it to their 4th pass with hail and wind and high gusts, and I can't even imagine. Her brother, with his family, was behind them. They were in a dugout because the hail was so serious, it was hurting. And their guide kept looking out, and the winds were swirling. The guide said, "All right, you ready to go?" Lisa's brother said, "Absolutely not. I am walking off this mountain." Well, about that same time, Lisa and her husband, John, went down the Outlaw Pass. What Lisa didn't know was there was a tree that had been rubbing on the cable. And with these high winds, a disaster was waiting to happen. As her husband passed her midway down the course, Lisa suddenly realized a 4-inch diameter pine tree was in her path, and she was traveling 35 miles per hour. She sheared a 4-inch pine tree off. Now that takes a lot of force. But her trolley, called a dead man trolley, required you to pull down on a handle to go. So Lisa couldn't pull down, and the trolley stayed there. She was midway down this 2,000-foot long zip line in need of emergent care. Staff was wondering, John made it down, where's Lisa? 45 minutes before they decided to get her completely down. She was in cardiac arrest when they offloaded her into the ambulance with a 20-minute ride to Utah Valley Hospital in Provo, Utah. She died on the way. Her mother now needed the news. She was waiting in the Sundance Mountain Resort restaurant for the family to get done ziplining so they could have a beautiful dinner to start their vacation. Well, nobody plans a vacation to include a trip to the morgue. I'm a zipline expert witness, and I've done over 100 researches and cases, and I found commonalities. The number one problem in the zipline industry is braking related, and I'm not the only one. An insurance company told us in 2020 that braking related accidents were over 50% of all accidents. Well, we solved that at Park City Mountain Resort in 2002. That resort paid for itself in 6 months, about $600,000. And it's been making $1 million a year after that. Now, the retrieval system wasn't my idea. That happened to be the first case that I ever reviewed. It was another death at Heavenly Resort, another ski resort. And let me tell you, they are the number one offenders in my research. More ski resorts than any other type of resort. And they should know better. Training is the key, is what one insurer told me. Robert Monahan with Hibbs Hallmark told me after I heard the information about the 6.5 accidents per 100,000 in 2016. He told me, no, it wasn't braking related, even though Cameron Anus with Granite Insurance did say that. He said it was training. Well, in the trampoline court industry, you are definitely right. And I'll bet it's that way for all industries. Training is a problem. And so, as I dive into these accidents, I realize that these people aren't being trained on the manufacturer's guidelines. Most of the standards default to manufacturer's guidelines because the manufacturer has a great responsibility. I'm a manufacturer. I'm required to do testing. I'm required to do design failure analysis, replacement schedules, and monitor my products. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to create a call to action. There's an article that shows up in the American Adventure Park Insider. It's called the Park Spy. Every quarter, the Park Spy calls around to these aerial amusement rides and asks a simple question. What kind of braking system do you have? Or, can my dog go ziplining? And some of the answers are unbelievable. Obviously, the training is lacking. He rates them on a scale of 1 to 10. His average, since I started taking the magazine about a year ago, is less than 4 out of 10 on these calls, on what he would prefer as a adventure park and professional and writer the answer could have been. And so he explains a better answer. Training is an area that I'm focusing on. My goal is to go into trampoline parks and zip lines and teach them all the nuances of their park, site-specific accidents, incidents, near misses. Let's fix the problem. I'm working with the largest trampoline park in the state of Utah, the Hive. I got Dr. John Skidmore, a licensed psychologist and a performance coach, music, to help me work with these youth and rising generation. My goal is to create a model of storytelling while I'm training. While I'm training, I'm going to show them things like this ball pit did not have enough balls or attenuation materials as required by the standards or the manufacturer. And as they look at this lifeless boy who just dove in and broke his neck. It'll be memorable. I'm going to train with a story. I love Paul Smith. Sell with a story. I hope I can work with him on the train with a story. And another one of my favorites is Nancy Duarte, and she gave me a title that I hope I can live up to, because that's what I want to be, an empathy architect. Thank you for listening. The call is to, if you're going ziplining or amusement riding, ask them about a brake system, ask them about their inspections, their third-party inspections, all the things that ask them what standards they follow. That'll give you a clue. If they have no idea what standards they follow, do not risk it. And if you're over 150 pounds and you're going ziplining, just know you're 4 times more at risk, because the braking systems that are out there do not account for the mass of the zipliner, nor the thermodynamics of a temperature change on a steel cable. We build bridges with expansion joints. You can't do that with zip lines. We'd fall out of the air. I am responsible. When anyone, anywhere, reaches out, I want to be there. And I'm going to keep talking. Keep writing. Sell your story to someone who will listen and affect those people who will never know you changed the industry. Thank you.